still your favorite song?
It is. It gets me jazzed every time. Every time. Welcome to the show, Realtor Avery.
Glad to be here around Detroit, Chuck. While you are somewhere very warm, I'm guessing you are. You didn't change your name today, did you, for our show?
Yes, I did. What do you mean? It says around the Koi Chuck.
I know, but it should say Jacksonville, Chuck.
Oh man. Oh, dang it.
Sorry.
Womp womp. Yeah,
My
well,
heart's always in Detroit.
yeah, no, yeah, I guess for today I'm Jacksonville Chuck. All right. Okay. That'll be a
Very
fun
cool.
fact at some point in the future. Well, welcome to the show. And this, it's funny we were talking about how about becoming a realtor, what it takes to become a realtor, kind of things we think about this time of year. And it makes me think back to when I was going to get my license. It was about this time. I took my class in January. It was an in-person class in Buffalo with the realtor licensing um, school. And so it takes me right back. So this is a time I think when a lot of people make this decision to think about a career in real estate.
I think, you and you and I have been doing this for a long time. So, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like I know like what kind of people get into real estate, right? But then you
Yeah.
start doing some research and it's like, okay, we know they're entrepreneurial. We know that more often than not, they've had another career, another job before they get into real estate. So it is, December, it is the time of year for reflection. And you think about what's my past? Where am I now? And where do I want my
Yeah.
future to be? And because real estate is so entrepreneurial, I think it makes perfect sense to say, okay, what do I want next year to look like? And how can I make it happen? I don't want to wait for someone else to choose my destiny. I want to choose it for myself. And so I think it makes perfect sense that, you probably were thinking about it November, December as the year's wrapping up. And you're like, I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna take my class in January. It makes perfect sense.
I think so. It makes perfect sense. And there used to be more, there was a limit, on how many people could take the in-person class,
Right.
right? But we don't have
Mhm.
those limits anymore because, at least I can speak for Rochester. We don't really have an in-person class in Rochester. And I think the online class is a great option for,
Right.
for many people. So
Especially as, again, talking about transitioning from one career to another. Or
mhm.
I had someone recently, they knew they wanted to go into real estate right after school. So they were still in school and then they were taking the online course after school. So
Okay.
whether your hours are split between another career and getting it started in real
Yep.
estate or another job, school, family obligations, there's all types of things that
Hmm.
take your time and
Sure.
giving some of your time to real estate.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So many realtors transition from another career, right? I mean, we just usually don't think of realtor as the aspirational career path. I don't know why. I think it's amazing. Maybe we should. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe we need to change that.
I think it is change, I do know it's changing. There are more
Yeah.
courses, in school, that there are so many, TV shows, movies, everything involving real estate. It's right now, it's a very
Right.
exciting career. Again, we have an entrepreneurial spirit in our country.
Yeah.
So I think that draws people into real estate. And I have to say, Chuck, when you first brought up that we were to do a show talking about getting into real estate, I was like, well, why do we want to do that? We're usually talking to realtors. We're talking to people who are already in the business.
Hmm.
But then as we started, as people know, you and I both do research before all of our shows. And I'm like, you know what? Even as we talk about what are the qualities of a good realtor, what things in common do the most successful realtors have? I thought, you know what? Someone who's in real estate already and maybe they're new or seasoned, that's still going to be interesting to them, right?
I think
We can
so.
always hone our skills no matter how long we've been in the business.
I absolutely. I mean, and as we started out by saying, I'm down here in Jacksonville, and to do this show, even I even had time this morning. Like, I know people probably think I'm crazy, but I went on our 10 a.m. webinar this morning about our Engage CRM because I didn't want to miss it, and I wanted to see what Christina and Alicia had to share with everybody, and I'm so glad that I watched it because it provided me with an answer to something that to a problem that I've been trying to solve for a few weeks now. And they mentioned it during the thing. And I was like, perfect. I wanted just for that, it was worth it enough just for that. So
Yes. And I think, where is my
well, you started out, by
oh,
asking me, you were really nice and did a nice little outline. And we were talking about, to start out with pros and cons of the job as a realtor. If somebody was going to come to you and say, Lisa, I'm thinking about becoming a realtor. And they said to you, well, what are some of the good things I should expect? And then maybe what are some of the bad things I should expect? So Lisa, I'm thinking about getting my license, about becoming a realtor.
mhm.
What's amazing that I should have to look forward to, and what's like, what do you think?
Well, funny you should ask. Because most of the pros are also the cons, right?
Mm,
Like, so for example, I would
mm,
say, Charles, as you come in to interview for real estate, one of the great pros of real estate is a flexible schedule, right?
okay.
And one of the cons is extended work hours, because you have flexibility. You could have
Mhm.
somebody who wants to see a house at 10 a.m. And then you have someone who wants to come over and do a consultation about selling their property at 7 p.m. Right. So you might say, boy, that means I'm working from 9 to 9 every day. But it also means if you want to go to a matinee movie at 3 o'clock, you can do that. Or if you want to be a homeroom
Okay.
parent, if you want to deliver meals on wheels in the midday, you've got that flexibility. So flexibility is a pro and a con, right?
Uh,
Um,
okay. Myself, I've somewhat famously said that, and I only say famously because this got me into our magazine. Do you remember when I got published a few months
yes,
back?
I
Right.
do remember.
I'm a little bit of a big deal. I said, you don't have to accept every appointment. Somebody wants to do that listing appointment at 7 o'clock. You can say, you know what? I've already got a commitment at 7 o'clock. And
True,
and how about the next day at 11 a.m., right? You're the
true,
professional. You set your time when you're available to provide whatever thing it is. And, on the night before at 7 o'clock, you got pickleball league. Like you can't,
yes,
I mean, that's a commitment.
right.
So it doesn't do us any good to be successful and create this life that we want to create if we can't then go live it, right?
Very
That's
true.
and I think that's a huge pro to realty as real
Yes.
estate as a career is
Well,
you can shape it. It's like a little
right.
piece of clay and you can mold it any way you want.
And that's one of the other pros. You're working for yourself, right?
Okay.
So when you are deciding between pickleball and an appointment, and in some cases it would be like, "Oh, to my supervisor, I need time off. Can I get time off to play pickleball?" You're asking yourself. And you, as your own boss, are going to make that decision. And rightfully, like you said, Chuck, you may say, you know what? You need to play pickleball. You need some activity. You need some exercise. And so, yes, we're
Right.
going to reschedule, or we're going to schedule. We're not going to cancel pickleball for your work appointment. We're going to move your work appointment to something that fits with your schedule. So that is great. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay.
But if your boss gives you too much time off, then you're not generating enough income to keep your
True.
job.
That's true. That's
So
true.
it's that
Right.
balance.
Your boss.
Yes.
Yeah. No, right. You
Yes.
can't take too much time off.
No. Pros and cons, a pro, you have income potential. Your business is going to grow year after year. I like to say it's a business of momentum. It's hard to
Mm,
get that boulder rolling, but once you get a boulder moving, it's
mm.
easier to keep it rolling.
It's hard to stop
So
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't stop it.
No, you can't stop
Um,
it.
You're
No,
you're just gonna keep being successful, right? I
yeah.
I mean, all kidding aside, there might be times where an agent is really busy, they've got a lot going on, and then they get a phone call from a referral, and they're like, "Oh, why didn't they call me last week? I was quiet." Well, you're spinning that wheel, and the business is going to keep coming.
Right.
Um, and learning how, so for example, one of the cons could be irregular income, right? Real estate is not a job with a weekly paycheck, right? You're going to get income
Yep.
sporadically. Now, at our company, obviously, you and I, Chuck, we know that we have income advantage. So we
Yep.
know that we can give our agents a monthly check. So we can give them some regularity. Not every company offers
Mhm.
that. So I don't like to say that as a universal, if you're looking to sell real estate in Nevada, your company's not going to have that. But if you're in our 13 states, you
Mhm.
have that ability.
So I want to say, like, when I was I signed up for Income Advantage back in 2018, and I I said I asked my wife if I told her about the program, and said, I asked her, does she want me to sign up for this? I think it might have taken her 2 seconds to say, yeah, please sign up.
Mhm.
Like, yes, it. I said, honey, why don't you think about it for a second? She's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
no, we're good. I'm good. Just sign up for it. Right. So
Yes.
Income Advantage is it's a bananas program.
There's no negative.
There's no
None.
negative. There's
None.
no negative. And what was really interesting was when Hobie at one of our manager meetings said, he goes, I one of the reasons, I mean, we like it because it helps even out your income. He said, but the real reason we like it is because it becomes a listing tool because you as an agent, you're just comfortable. You're not worried when that next commission check is going to come in. So you can give your clients that awesome advice that is always, no matter, like, there's just no, you're never you're never going down that road, right? So I never thought about it that way, and I think that's awesome. So I'm a huge fan of that. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I
Yep.
agree. I think that one of the other pros that also leads into qualities of good realtor that we wanted to talk about, excuse me, as a real estate agent, yes, we're selling houses, right? But we're also selling dreams. We're selling the American dream. We're selling the ability that if the first time someone goes from renting a property to owning and they realize you don't have to ask permission, right? If I want to paint my bedroom wall a zebra pattern, I don't have to ask anyone. If I want to redo my front steps or my landscaping in my house, well, if you live in a condo or HOA, you might have to ask. But in most properties, you can do what you want. You're not asking permission from a landlord. So having that ability,
Right.
buying a house,
Huh.
imagining it's where your child's going to take their first steps. So much is going to happen in that property. And as realtors, we get to be a part of that. We get to help people as they are building. We talk often about building equity, and that is a huge portion of it. You are building equity in your home for yourself, for future generations, but you're also building memories. You're
Mhm.
building a life that you want and a property that you love, and you know, it's really a privilege to be part of that.
100%. Property is, if not, it's the biggest way that we transfer wealth in this country. And if you don't own property, you don't get to take part in that transfer of wealth. It's
It's
like that
huge.
simple, right? Wasn't there last week I saw something about the average homeowner is 40 times, has 40 times
Net worth.
the net worth, right?
Yes,
Versus the average renter, of course.
correct.
That's average versus average, not, of
Right.
course, there's individuals, there's people that own an apartment that, you know, could hire me to be their butler or some other great job.
Yes.
Like, nothing against butlers. There's a guy in Buffalo, John Bordage. So I get off on tangents. I'm gonna get off this one quickly though, but he's an amazing butler. Bordage Consulting. If you ever need a butler, he's amazing.
Thank
So
you. I'll keep that
anyway,
in mind.
keep that in
But no,
mind.
it's true.
But yeah,
And again, my tangent, and that's why we're so focused
yeah,
on creating home ownership opportunities for everyone, because we do know if you're prevented from home ownership, you're prevented from greater wealth. And so being a realtor, you can be part of that. You can be a part of making changes in someone's life. Um,
it's yeah, it's unbelievable. Before being a realtor, I was in a company selling sunglasses and Christmas ornaments. And when we started with the sunglasses, that was first. I mean, that was nice. We built a nice business, but we were just selling sunglasses for people, and but then when we did the ornaments, that was cool because we started to have that emotional place in people's lives where they had a tradition of going out to buy their ornament for the year. And we noticed that people were telling their family, like, they were telling their stories, their family stories, their personal stories, everybody on their Christmas trees. And we got to be in that part of their life with them. But then when I transitioned into being a realtor, it doubled down on that level of being in an important part of somebody's life just that much more. And it's I never thought of it that way. So many people don't know about this, you
Right.
know, and it's just an incredible opportunity. I love it. We're gonna get probably 100 new realtors following up our video here. We wish, right? Um,
Yes.
so
All right, so
absolutely
skills. So just like
skills.
you talked about, when we look at skills of good realtors, things like customer focused, right? Like
Okay.
when you're listening to those stories, you're getting to
Mhm.
know the people. You are focused on their story, on their needs. You also need to be self-motivated, right? Like you need to show up for work every day.
Okay.
Even if you're tired, even if you don't feel like there's something to do. That's why I love one of the tools we have when we use it in our new agent training. It's like 120 things to do when there's nothing to do,
Mm,
right? There's
yeah,
never nothing to do when you're in
it's true.
real estate.
It's true.
Um, you need to be trustworthy, right? And being trustworthy and being thought of as trustworthy, right? Like you need to act so that people know that you are trustworthy. And then two things that do go hand in hand: good listening skills,
Okay.
right? And a hunger for knowledge. So you need to be listening to your clients and you need to be searching out knowledge. Someone may ask you a question you don't know the answer to. That happens. I mean, it happens to everyone. It happens to me,
Yep.
happens to Chuck, and we've been doing this a long time. So
Mhm.
that question of, oh, that is a good question. I'm not sure of that, but I will find out and
Yep.
I will get the answer. I mean, it's important.
And I'm gonna say, I like, I think you have to be patient, but yet I think you have to be persistent. Patient but persistent, right? So just because you're patient doesn't mean you're not pushing, you're not keeping, knocking on the door again, sending the message again. Hey, when are we gonna do this? When is this gonna happen? Blah blah blah. When am I gonna get my appointment? Right? Um,
Yes.
and then persistent and consistent, right? As I love the phrase, consistency is undefeated. Okay.
Yes.
And the more you do the same way, every single time, that you be by being consistent, I think you're guaranteed to win. Absolutely.
Yes. And people will appreciate that, you know? And that's why a
Hmm.
lot of times when you talk about being persistent, if someone has reached out to you because they have a real estate need, buying, selling, what have you, and if you say to them, okay, when would you like me to contact you next? I'm Thursday. Okay, I'm going to call you on Thursday. Well, the worst thing you can do is not call Thursday, right?
Right.
And but if you call Thursday and they say, oh, you know what, my day got crazy, can we reschedule for tomorrow? Then
Right.
call them back tomorrow. But do what you said you're going to do.
Yes. That's the definition of trust right there. Right.
Right. Those are the ways that you show you're trustworthy, that your
Hmm.
word matters.
Hmm.
Again, being so a couple things I like also that are good points for realtors is being tech savvy, right? And that
Okay.
doesn't mean you are the tech expert in your world, but you're just like you know what someone's talking about when they mention different points of technology. You don't have to understand how it
Mm.
all works, but you want to be savvy about it. You want to know what
Yeah.
technology is out there. And it
You
can be
know.
as basic as electronic signatures. Just, when
Okay.
that was new, that was something we all had to learn.
I feel like that's a similar story for a lot of things about real estate as realtors. We have to know a little bit about a lot of things, right? We moved into we bought our first house in 2006. But my family had never owned a home. Like growing up, we had always rented, and I didn't learn a lot about homes and maintaining a home and things like that. And then even then, moving into our house in 2006, I got my license in 2015. Less than 10. I mean, I learned some things about a house, but it really wasn't until I became a realtor that I really, really dug in and learned everything I could about all the ins and outs of houses. Um, so, but I'm not saying you could hire me to go, build a house or do a home inspection or do anything like that. But we have to know a little bit about all those different areas. I think
Yeah.
that's the case in so many situations. Absolutely.
Yes. I
Yeah,
agree. I
for
agree.
sure.
And then one of the other skills, networking, right? You don't have to be extroverted. I think that's a misconception, but you
Hmm.
have to be willing to let people know you're in real estate. When you're in real estate, yes, we sell houses. Yes, we help people buy houses, but we are the product, right? We are what they're buying. They're buying our knowledge, our experience, our relationship to be able to help them do what they want to do. So you have to be able to talk about yourself, tell your friends and family you're in real estate, and ask for the business. And that's not always easy for most people.
I just
And
heard.
I even get, I just even saying that, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm a little bit nervous. Like, you know, it's like you are interviewing for a job every day when you're in real estate.
Yeah. No, it's true. We are. We interview all the time. We get fired all the time too, right? We lose our jobs
Get
daily.
passed
Hopefully,
over,
the more I
right?
lose my job, the better, right? I just had a closing. I lost my job. So,
Yeah.
um, no, no, yeah, yeah, agreed. But I was trying to. I was thinking of some that sometimes what you have to be. There's a great regarding talking and being open to talking, and whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or not doesn't matter. Celeste Headley has a great TED talk about how to have good conversations, and she gives 10 tips to give good conversations. And she says one of the things you have to learn to do when you're having a conversation with somebody, and if you're really listening, like, first of all, don't you have to listen to understand, not to respond. First of all, okay, listen to understand, not to respond. But as you're telling your thing, and an idea will come into my head, of course, right? And then from that point on, am I just listening to wait for the moment where I can then share the thing that into my head? She goes, you know what? You got to be ready to just let that thing go right out the other side and go and don't just let it go, right?
Yes.
So
That's so hard.
it's right. It's so
Yes.
hard, but just let it go. It's fine. It's yeah. Don't be yeah, 100%. So I just did that. I just let it go.
All right. Well, let's talk. All right. So, if you've been listening to us and you say, "Okay, this all still sounds good. I'm
Yep.
still interested in
Right.
getting involved." Excuse me, getting my real estate license. You live in New York State. Maybe you live in Arundicoit. Maybe you live in Hamburg. Maybe you live in some other county in the state. Chuck, if I want to get my real estate license, what
Hmm.
are my steps to do that?
Okay. Well, after you've talked to me, after we've talked to you, after you talk with a
Yes.
manager, after you talk with a broker, I want you to know what it takes after you're like you get the like you don't actually get the license. The New York State sends the license to your broker because you have to be supervised. But I want you to know what it costs to join your board. But before that, I think what you're asking is how do I take that test, right? Where
Right. What are the steps?
you're going to go through some you got to take a couple tests. So what you're going to do though is you're going to with your Howard Hanna local office, you're going to get a discount code to get your license cuz you're not paying full price. I'm going to
I
I'm
hate
going to
paying full price.
right. I don't want to pay full price. So we pretty much 24/7. We always have at least a discount of at least. I'm going to say there's always a 30% discount on our Howard Hanna CE shop link website. I'm going to put the banner up on the thing now. Let me see if let me share this banner. So you could start by enrolling, going to this website. That'll take you to our branded partnership with the CE shop, and you can
And what
get
is it that they're taking when they
so
go there?
they gotta sign up for the 77-hour licensing course. It's right. It covers everything that you need except for ethics. It doesn't cover ethics. So after you get licensed, you have to go do another course. But this is all you need to get your license, get on with a broker, take the 77-hour course. It's self-paced. So you can take as long as you want to finish the course. And I recommend that you sign up for the package that includes some of the practice exams. Those I can tell you from experience, those practice exams are going to prepare you for passing your licensing test because what 4 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I took the New York State licensing test again for funsies. I mean, so and and it was kind of because I was like, well, what happens if I don't pass the licensing test? It would be so. I mean, for me, it would be quite embarrassing. Um, so thankfully, good news, everybody, I passed. But I'll tell you what, I am really glad that I did one of those practice exams the night before the test because it did get me back into thinking about some of the questions that were going to be on the test. And I can tell you that the practice exam was a lot harder than the state exam. So I was prepared for that exam, and you'll be prepared. So do the online course, go through the chapters, sign up for the package that includes the practice tests, and you'll be good. Okay. And if you have a question along the way, you can call me, you could call Lisa, you could, hopefully you've already kind of made a partnership with the broker that you're gonna affiliate with. Um, and you can't really like you know you sign up with the broker in New York. You sign up with the broker after you've passed your license. We actually go when you apply for your license, you have to put the little code in for your broker, so that they have somewhere to send your license, because they won't send it to you. You're not a legitimate receiver of it. So
That's
yeah,
cool. So 77-hour
77 hours.
pre-licensing course. They can do
Correct.
online. There's no time
Hmm.
restriction. You do your course exam, state exam, and then you affiliate with your broker.
And don't be stressed out about it, because you can take the state, honestly, like, so I would be, well, you shouldn't be stressed out about either one, but you're going to be prepared. But you've got to pass that course exam. You got two chances to take it. Only two chances. You got to pass it in one of those two chances. Otherwise, you got to retake the 77-hour course. Okay.
Okay.
I've never heard of anybody who didn't pass it. Okay, and had to redo the course. I've never heard of anybody. I have heard of many people who have not passed the state exam.
True.
um, but you know what? That's fine. Listen, it's okay. A week later, you can go take it again.
It's
It's
$15.
15
Yeah.
bucks, right? They do it almost every Tuesday of the month in Rochester. I'm not quite sure in
Same
Buffalo
in
how.
Buffalo.
Same, yeah. Every Tuesday, 1 o'clock, show up, I mean, you have to register ahead, but take the test, and you're gonna pass it. You know, somebody told me, I was talking to somebody, and they said they took the test, and there was no math questions on the test, like legit, not a single math question. And which is strange, right? And I thought, well, why would that be? Like, why would, well, they must have, we know that they have a few different versions of the tests, because if you show
Yes.
up, I mean, you can't keep taking the same exact test every time. So they have a few different versions. So they legitimately have built a version for people that get all worried about math and can't do the math, right? Like, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means it's hard sometimes to do the math, to remember what is what. It's tricky. It's tricky. So,
Well, and
and
you
frankly, well, go ahead.
I was
You
gonna say,
tell.
and you don't have a choice. I can't say, "Oh, I wanna
Oh,
take the
right.
no
I
math
want the no math
option."
version.
And if there's 10 people in the room, there
Yeah.
could be, 4 different tests, scattered among the people, so I can't be looking over at your paper chalk and seeing what you wrote for question 5, because you might
Oh,
have a different question 5.
oh, really? That
Yes.
okay. All right. Yeah, you know more about this than I do. I had to, because we all had to put in a bubble code at the top of our sheet, and I thought we all did the same bubble code. So,
Different
okay.
tests.
Hmm. All right. Well, that
Um,
makes sense, because you don't want any cheaters.
yeah. Yes.
Hmm.
You have to be trustworthy being real estate, and so no cheaters.
It starts with your test.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. But yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
think, people who are again, I like that one is the least expensive part of the process is the state exam.
Okay.
And you find out your results online. You create an account
Yep.
on the database and you sign up for the test online, you get your results online, and then when it's time to get your license, you're going back to that same website.
Hmm.
So it's a nice process.
Hmm. No, absolutely. So I was gonna, so as I mentioned, because I showed the 30% off code
Oh
for
yeah.
the thing. But and just, I mean, right now we have a 40% off discount code.
Right.
So I can't, it's really hard. I couldn't quite share it on the way here, but if anybody, if you get to watch this and you want to know, you want to get notified when the next 40% off coupon code comes in, just comment in the chat, give us a way to contact you. And we get these codes. I swear we get one at least once a week. There's every
Yes.
time there's basically just follow the holiday schedule. Whatever the next holiday is, there's going to be a coupon, a special extra 10% off for that holiday.
Yes.
And we'll make sure you get that code. So you get it for, it'll take another 30, 40 bucks off, and that's better,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And that's
I
better.
agree. I agree.
Absolutely.
So
That's,
another thing that, I wanted to bring up, um, real estate sales, marketing, it's a lovely, lovely career, right? And but there are different ways that you can better yourself or learn more. So we've been talking, we've been doing some different training within our company and within leading real estate companies of the world. I happened to do a session about success last week with a motivational speaker, a personal trainer, development named Rebecca Mountain. And it was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And then after it was over, we got great email, great follow up. And she gave a really nice recommended book list. In last week's show, we talked about what kind of gifts would you want as a realtor, right? Holiday gifts, birthday gifts, end of year gifts. And I also thought, how about some book gifts? What books can we give to people that want to just improve, do a little bit more with their career, and what kinds of things can we be looking at? So, and I know you've read some of those books too, Chuck. I know her
I
book,
have.
The
Yeah.
Dragon and the Goat, is very good.
Okay.
But what on there do you like? What authors would you
Yeah,
recommend
well,
of those?
the first one that jumps out at me is James Clear's Atomic Habits. I mean, that book is
Yes.
bananas. I have 2 copies of that book, so just in case I've loaned one out to someone and I have someone else I want to borrow it, right? I want to have a backup copy to lend. Um, but I will say about James Clear's book Atomic Habits that, a lot of these books tell stories. They're books, right? And they communicate what they're trying to do through telling a story. And James Clear does that a lot. And one of the ways, if you don't want to read the book and you just want to go to YouTube and watch them tell the story, there's in many of these cases there's videos you can watch of these authors telling their stories. So that's one of the gateways I have into these books is I'll often interact with them first on YouTube and they'll tell their story and I'll say, oh, I want to go get that book. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, but no, James Clear's Atomic Habits is probably the first one that I noticed. A big fan, big fan. Let me
If
see.
you, and this was a great presentation. I'll also put it out there. She's very willing to share that. If it sounds like something you say, hey, I'm interested in hearing just about Rebecca, or I want to hear her talk, let me know and I will be happy to send that to you. I did some new agent training last week after this presentation, and I couldn't wait for you do these presentations, they send you the recording, they
Yeah.
send you the PowerPoint. I couldn't wait. I took a picture of the screen because she had a slide on getting more yes, getting to yes. And I thought it was a great part of the presentation about just what are the right questions to ask to get to yes. And that's what again, when we go back to being successful in real estate, successful in sales, it's understanding your clients, it's asking questions, being curious, learning so that you can get to where they want to go.
Okay.
So her presentation was very good. I highly recommend following her. She has a
Nice.
YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
Bex Mountain is her Instagram handle if you
Okay.
want to follow her on Instagram as well.
Wow. Okay. Bax Mountain.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing that James Clear talks a lot about in his book that I'll mention because we kind of talk about like it's December, we're getting ready for next year. What do we, how do we do that? How do we stay on track? How do we get in the mode to do the thing that we want to do? And he talks a lot about what we call optimizing for the start, right? And what's the result you're trying to achieve? And then what are the barriers or how can you set your environment up in a better way to make it more likely that you're going to do the thing you say you're going to do? So optimizing for the start. So he said there's a woman who wanted to go to the gym. He tells a story, wanted to exercise more and had to be could only go to the gym at 6:30 in the morning. So instead of focusing on going to the gym at 6:30 in the morning, her focus was, I got to be hailing a cab outside my apartment at 6:15. If I'm outside with my hand up getting a cab at 6:15, as soon as I get in the cab, the only place I can go is the gym. And so you don't have to think about that thing. You have to think about the little step ahead of that. And if you can set your environment up perfectly for that, you'll be more likely to achieve what you said you're going to achieve. So take away the distractions. The hospital wanted to sell more water than soda in their little cafeteria area where people take breaks and families go to eat. And they said, well, why don't we just put the thing that holds the water by the checkout and put the thing that holds the soda over in the corner. And sure enough, they just found that people were just grabbing what was right there. And in that case, what was there was water. And they started selling more water and being more healthy. And it was in line with their mission as a hospital. So
Mm-hmm.
so setting up your environment in a better way to remove those distractions can be one of the very first steps towards achieving whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the change in having the in-person licensing course, like you and
Okay.
I both took,
Yeah.
to an online, because now you've removed all the obstacles. If
Okay.
I'm working a job that's, 4 to midnight, I can say, okay, I'm going to work 4 to midnight. I'm going to go to school from 2 to 4 a.m. every day. Right. And I can take 77 divided by 2. And that's how many days it will take me to do the course. Right. If I'm doing
Okay.
2 hours, if I'm going to do 3 hours, I'll get done faster. So I think that's huge.
If
Um,
if
yeah,
you've made a commitment to becoming a realtor, tell someone.
right.
Say, I'm going to do this. And in 2 months, I want you to call me or text me and follow up and ask me if I followed through with what I said I was going to do.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah, no,
That
absolutely.
person hailing a cab at 6:15, they could have a friend that says, "Hey, I'm up. Text me at 6:20. Let me know you're in the cab."
Could be. Right. And you don't want to let that person down. You said you were going to
Nope.
do it. Right. So
Definitely, definitely.
definitely.
The last thing I want to say on the matter, I don't know what you have left, Chuck, but I love the assessment that we have on Hannah Careers. So
Okay.
again, for those of you, and maybe our Hannah realtors or other realtors who are listening to this, I know you've had friends talk to you about getting into real estate. I know you've had clients, you did a really great job, and they say, I had so much fun working with you. I would like to consider getting into real estate. What's it like? What do I need to do? Am
Sure.
I already suited for this career? Go to hannahcareers.com. There's links to, I want an interview in Western New York. I want an interview in Pennsylvania, Virginia, Carolinas, wherever we are. And then there are career assessments. It's a self-paced, just kind of assessment, and it's going to look at your character traits and compare you to high performing realtors. Now, there's nothing that says, oh, if you don't get a score of X, you're not going to make it. It just says, hey, where are your natural tendencies? Where will you already excel? And where would you need to spend a little bit more time and effort to be perhaps stronger? So I suggest it. Go to Hannah Careers. It asks you, did someone at Howard Hanna, do you know someone at Howard Hanna? You can say you know me or you know Chuck and put that in there. And we'll follow up with you too once you do the assessment.
100%. It's a great assessment. It asks, there's lots of, it's basically a disc assessment, I think. Is that
Yeah,
right?
a little bit
And
personality,
yeah,
style, communication style.
yeah.
Are you,
It's
many
good to take no
people,
matter what you're thinking about doing,
well,
honestly, whether it being
yeah,
a realtor or anything, just to like,
any
hey, what?
sales, especially it's anything self-employed,
Mhm.
any independent contractor type position, this will help you figure out, right? Like maybe you decide, hey, this is interesting, but I would rather be a home inspector. I'd rather be a stager. I'd rather be a property manager, a leasing agent, a commercial realtor. Like there are so many real estate related. Maybe you want to be a mortgage person. Maybe you want to
Yeah.
go into some other aspect of real estate. Maybe you want to be a real estate attorney, you know?
You know,
We need all these jobs.
we need all these jobs, but no matter, even if you want to do one of those other jobs, getting a real estate license is a great place to start. So
Yes.
just, that's one of the things I love about realty is there's so many different um, income models, income paths. And as I say, they all rhyme. They all work together. They all they all rhyme, right? And when I'm going to try to make money this way, and then I'm also going to choose this way, and they don't rhyme at all, they're in conflict, it's a problem. So
Yes. You would rather be in congruence than conflict.
yes. Yeah, congruence. Nice word, Lisa
Thank
Avery. Love it.
you.
Love it.
Every once in a while. All right. Well, we went a little bit long today, Chuck, but it's exciting. I mean, that's one of my
It's our
favorite parts of the
favorite
job.
topic. It's our
It's
favorite topic.
exciting. Like get into real estate. Like we want more realtors. According to
Yeah.
Dr. Lawrence Yoon from NAR, they expect in the next year 200,000 people to get into real estate nationally. And they
Wow.
expect 200,000 people to get out of real
Out of real
estate
estate.
in 2025.
Right.
Now, if you listen to Brian Buffini, who's a very much a national expert on real estate,
It's a
he agreed
thought
with
leader.
the 200,000 in. He thought it might be more like 300,000 out. Real estate
Okay.
has gotten a little bit harder. The last 2 years, it's a more difficult job than it was the 3 years before. and there might be people who have decided it's not for them any
Right.
longer. That said, if you get in now, while it is a little bit harder, you'll survive any storm.
I think the things that you need to do to be successful haven't changed at all, though. No matter,
No,
just even
but you
with
have to
what,
do it.
but you have to do it. Yeah. No, right. 100%. Absolutely. Lawrence Yun, he's one of my favorites. All right. Well, we're gonna let us know. Get your real estate license. Go to hannacareers.com. Take an assessment. Find out if just do a disc assessment. It'd be great to know. And oh, my alarm is going off. I think that means it's time
Show's
to roll.
over.
Show's
Text
over.
us. If you have questions, you can also reach out to Chuck or myself anytime, and we are happy to answer.
Okay. All right. See you next week. Cheers.